Deputy head of the Belarusian KGB. The Belarusian KGB is aware that the West is considering the possibility of using tactical nuclear weapons against the Republic and Russia.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
No, they're not.
Oh my Lord. Now they're saying we're going to use them.
No, I know, and then that means that they're trying to paint it.
They're like, oh, we're preemptively going to use one now. Jesus fucking Christ. Is news over? All right. It's not over, okay? It's not. Holy fuck. You fucking news Andes. You guys are psychos, man. I can't even deviate away from news in like for 3.5 seconds. Motherfuckers are like, bro. Do the news, man. Do the news, boy. Okay, Austin's gone. Let's talk about the strategic importance of recent attacks in Ukraine.
We're back now on CBS Mornings here at 7:30 as Ukraine surveys the damage from massive Russian attacks all across the country yesterday. Officials are saying at least 19 people were killed. Many lost access to power, to water, to heat in what was the largest Russian attack in months. We're joined now by retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, a CBS News foreign policy and national security contributor, also U.S. national security advisor. General, thank you very much for being here. This is a landmass about the size of Texas, and you can see the scope of these Russian attacks. What stood out to you?
Well, Tony, as you mentioned, I mean, it's just the scale of it, right? 84 cruise missiles launched from various locations, about 24 drones, some of these suicide drones provided to the Russians by the Iranians. And the targets were to terrorize the Ukrainian people, to terrorize them with attacks on apartment complexes and at school and busy intersections.
Wait, by the way, how far the mighty have fallen? This motherfucker went from being a general to like McDonald's general. He went from being a general to being the general of the Super Bowl commentary on Russia's attacks on Ukraine. Holy shit. Fell off big time. Also, did he say Russians got this information from Iranians?
Various locations, about 24 drones, some of these suicide drones provided to the Russians by the Iranians. And
what? Oh, the drones were Iranian drones. Literally lying about the Russian military because it's American pro-war propaganda.
And the targets were to terrorize the Ukrainian people, to terrorize them with attacks on apartment complexes and at school and busy intersections right at rush hour. But also, as you mentioned, to attack infrastructure.
Austin will be gone for 20 minutes. He's got to do some stuff.
Right, to pose the Ukrainians with the prospect of being cold in the winter,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And so all of this was meant to affect Ukrainian will in a negative way. But of course, I think it's had the opposite effect, Tony. I mean, I think it's bolstered the will of the Ukrainians to fight for their sovereignty and their freedom.
And they have been fighting. There's an attack on a bridge, which we're going to talk to in a second. But these Russian attacks followed a counteroffensive from Ukraine, which had been having some success. Can we talk about that?
No, yeah, we should talk about this. And it's important because I think the momentum has shifted with this offensive.
And just to guide people here, this is Russian-controlled territory here in the red. And the yellow is where Ukraine has made a push.
That's right. So you have Russia here, you have the Crimean Peninsula here, which is really important. A lot of Russian bases established there after the illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. And what you see in the yellow is a vast amount of territory, especially here in the north, that has been retaken in recent weeks by a very successful Ukrainian counteroffensive, a counteroffensive that's integrated some new weapons capabilities, precision fires in particular. But, the Russians are in a really tough spot. I mean, this is about, an 850-kilometer-long active front. And
I think the suicide drone is I'm sorry, but it's just a funny descriptor considering that, it's a fucking drone. The entire purpose of a drone is that it's unmanned. So calling it a suicide drone is so stupid. And America has a similar drone to what they're referencing. The one that what is it called? America has a missile that is similar to that. What is it? Like the Switchblade, right? So why is that considered a Switchblade, but the Iranian one is like a suicide drone? I mean, I guess the Iranians themselves, I guess they call it the Shaheed, right? Shahed. Am I saying that wrong? No, Shahid. Yeah. Which is literally the reason why. But it's the same exact principle. Yeah, the drone itself is a unmanned drone, so obviously no one is actually committing suicide. Obviously. Okay, bro, chill. Jesus Christ. Okay. They're both suicide drones, the designation of one-time use drones. Oh, okay. They're called kamikaze drones. It's a suicide drone because they use the whole body of the drone as an explosive. So it's one use. We call American drones that work that way suicide drones too. Engineer here. Technically, the drone is killing itself. It's Shahed, meaning witness, not even Shahid, which means martyr. Oh, okay. I thought it was Shahid. Engineers always got to tell people they're engineers. I know. I am related to one. Trust me. Holy fuck. He never stops. Engineer here.
You can't be strong everywhere.
Yeah.
So what the Ukrainians did is they determined where the defenses were weak. They penetrated these defenses and turned the Russians out of those.
I have actually never heard. You also blast people for not saying I know this because I do this job. That's true. I have never heard the American drone be called suicide drone in the media, but maybe they do.
Prepared defenses and made tremendous gains, 1,200 kilometer gains here. And now they're consolidating some of those gains while they continue smaller scale offensives. But there's a very strategic area down here in Kherson along the Dnieper River because it's critical to Russia controlling the Black Sea coast. Yeah. And here you have a very deliberate counteroffensive going on, targeting some of the Russian forces. But what's happened across the front, Tony, is that the Ukrainians have attacked supply depots and ammunition dumps. And so what this does is it puts a premium on resupply from Russia. And this is really the Kerch Strait Bridge context.
Yeah, why that mattered so much.
Absolutely. So if you take out supply depots here and ammunition depots, then you have to throughput supplies along extended lines of supply coming, in this case, out of Russia, across this Kerch Strait Bridge, and into some of the key bases that are on the Crimean Peninsula, where they stockpile supplies and then resupply these forces, which are under increasing pressure from the Ukrainians. And so this is the context of the attack that dropped this bridge here in the Kerch Strait. And then you see this massive, retaliation by the Russians because Putin felt like he had to do something after what he saw was a humiliation of this really great achievement of the Ukrainians to interdict that supply route.
All right, General, let's mosey over to the table because I know Gail and Nate also have some questions for you. We are about 6 months into the war here, and this is the biggest attack we've seen since the very beginning.
I know, in general, you said the whole purpose is to terrorize the Ukrainian people, mission accomplished. What do you make of Putin's strategy, though? I attack your country, and then he goes on Russian TV yesterday and calls the Ukrainian people terrorists. Yeah. What do you make of this strategy? The Russian people aren't always getting the truth here.
No, they never get the truth, right? I mean, whatever Putin says, like the opposite.
Unlike American media, which always gives the truth about America's imperialist conquest. And once again, remember, I am not a fan of what Russia is doing. A lot of you self-report and immediately jump to the conclusion that you think that America is doing an all right thing. So when I say Russia is doing the same thing, you think I'm actually defending one. I'm not. Every time someone says Russia, you bring America in? Yeah, because I'm an American, you fucking idiot. And the overwhelming amount of my audience is also American. So, of course, I am still going to, once again, use this as an educational opportunity for people who have a blind spot for Western imperialism.
opposite is reality. And I think what you're seeing now are some real cracks within the Russian regime, and I think in Russian popular opinion. It's
Sounds like something Putin would pay you to say about America. Yeah, because like, you know, Putin is, of course, giving me so much money, which is why I say all the time that his unjustifiable, brutal, inhumane invasion of Ukraine was an awful misstep, even from a strategic standpoint, but certainly on top of that, just overall brutal. So brutal that I compare it to America's actions. When I say something is like America, and you personally think that that's actually a defense of that action, you're just telling me you think America is good. I don't think America is good. So when I compare something to America, that's not a motherfucking compliment. It's a diss, you fucking idiots.
hard to believe any polls, right, that come out of Russia. If they say, hey, what do you think of Vladimir Putin? What are you going to say, right?
Right, of course.
It just disappear, right, if you give the wrong answer. And, of course, it's important to note that inside of Russia now, there are more political prisoners than there were during the height of the Cold War. Wow. In the Russian internal security services, more people than there are in the military. And, of course, what did Putin tell people? Hey, this is going to be easy. Just leave this to me. This is a special military operation.
It'll be done quick.
It'll be done quick.
And
now they've had tremendous losses, Gail. I mean, conservative estimates, 65,000 casualties, right? And now he's trying to mobilize 300,000. And you're seeing that a lot of these, he's mobilizing 300,000, but it's 300,000 people trying to flee the country. I mean, they've gone to prisons to recruit, 80,000 criminals. So it's really, I think you're seeing the strains. And, we're talking about these massive attacks that just occurred. How many more times can they do that? I mean, there are reports that they're running low on ammunition. They're buying ammo from North Korea. So
President Biden warned that we haven't been this close to Armageddon since the Cuban Missile Crisis. How concerned should we be about a nuclear attack? Because it just sounds scary when you use the word nuclear.
Of course it does, Nate. And this is all that Putin's got left, right, is to rattle the nuclear saber. And I think the president's message was unfortunate there because it does kind of play into Putin's hands,
of course.
Putin wants to incite fear, and he wants to constrain our support for the Ukrainians who are defending their children. I mean, half of the children in Ukraine are displaced, right? So we see this as a humanitarian catastrophe, but it's also very important from American interests, right? I mean, this is the.
Bro, I can't get over McMaster saying this. It's just crazy. It is so fucking crazy, dude. In my mind, there's no difference between a Russian general saying this about like Ukraine or whatever versus an American general saying this. He said millions of children have been displaced. He said millions of children have been displaced, which is a humanitarian catastrophe. And I'm like, yeah, you're so right. Except like, look at who's saying that. It blows my mind.
The return of major war to Europe, first time since World War II, right? And if Putin gets an off-ramp, which some people talk about, hey, that's only a chance. That's a chance for him to look for the next on-ramp, which has been his pattern of activity since he took over in the year 2000, right? I mean, he's conducted massive cyber attacks and disinformation, to undermine our democracies. And of course, he invaded Georgia in 2008, invaded Ukraine in 2014. This war's been going on since 2014.
Yeah, the war in Ukraine isn't an easy thing to break down. We appreciate you. That was a master class from General McMaster. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nate. Great to be with all of you.
That's wild. Tensions rise as Russian men flee into Georgia.
When this war started, Ukrainian women and children were fleeing the Russian army. Now Russian men are fleeing their own military. Vladimir Putin's partial mobilization has caused a general panic in Russia. This was the queue on Russia's border with Georgia. No food, drinks or toilets. This man took 5 days to cross to Georgia. I had to abandon my car, he said. It's been a marathon. Ilya queued for 60 hours. I only had 4 hours sleep. Now I want to put myself into a washing machine. And then he pulled out a Polaroid. I want to live.
I personally think these kinds of images is not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of people have simply lost the capacity to see Russian people as though they are anything but a monolith. They think a lot of the way that like Western media has covered the plight of Russian people in this situation almost makes it seem like they're a monolithic force that just wants the evisceration of the West and all this shit. So this is a good coverage.
To see my daughter grow up. Nobody I spoke with said they supported this war, but
Yeah, no
until
shit, they're
now
running away.
they hadn't dared to speak out.
Everyone understands the reason we're here is because of the man in the Kremlin. Gosh, they'll kill me for that. But it doesn't matter anymore. We're safe. And the main thing is we don't have to kill anybody.
The people that are coming through are exhausted, hungry, sleep deprived. In most cases, people had to spend days in the queue, but they're relieved. They have reached safety. They have avoided the risk of being killed on a battlefield in Ukraine.
Today, downtown Tbilisi, Georgia's capital, feels like little Moscow. It didn't happen overnight. The Russian exodus began even before the war, as repressions grew. But since last week's mobilization, the number of Russians entering Georgia peaked at more than 10,000 a day. And they can stay here without a visa for up to a year. They're opening bank accounts and queuing for local SIM cards. Opposition politicians are urging the government to end this open-door policy.
It's a great security concern, first of all, if we have large numbers of the Russian citizens basically settling down here permanently. Using the force and using the Russian army to protect Russian citizens in the foreign lands and the foreign countries is the right, constitutional right of the Russian Federation. We all understand that the Russians are, in a sense,
implying that civilians escaping the draft is like some kind of 5D chess strategy to create a fifth column style invasion plan is a wild fucking take. Like they're sending their forward invading forces. The chatter also pointed it out. I mean, that's crazy. Like these are humans, man. They're fucking humans. They're literally running away. They're refugees. Are there countries that don't have this paranoia though? No, they don't. And the problem is they say they have a reason to be wary. Sorry. I'll just say it like this. Being a fucking, Muslim immigrant in this country, I've heard that fucking rhetoric far too many goddamn times, okay? Get the fuck out of here, bro. That is literally just, that is just straight up the exact same narrative. Anyone who doesn't think that this is fifth columnist propaganda is being blinded. It is wild, but is it completely unbelievable? Like Russia invading Ukraine in the first place? Oh my God, dude. I have 9 month subscribers. You have completely lost the plot. Russia invading Ukraine in the first place is up to one individual, Vladimir Putin's fucking mania. Okay? What you are describing is ascribing negative associations and a battalion of people that are engaging in espionage. You're talking about mobilizing hundreds of thousands of humans with their babies and shit. There's no difference between what you're saying about Russians going into Georgia as people say about Syrians fleeing Syria. Please try to, take a deep breath and reconsider your perspective.
Weaponizing their citizens.
Georgian activists picketed the border this week to remind the new arrivals about their own war with Russia in 2008 over South Ossetia. 20% of Georgian territory is still occupied by Russian forces. Georgians stand with Ukraine. Hundreds of them have volunteered to fight there, and more than a dozen have made the ultimate sacrifice. People feel very strongly here that Russians who came to Georgia have a job to do back home.
If the Russian citizens today are unhappy, as they should be, with their government, I very much hope that they will make their voices heard in their own country.
But put that to the new Russians in exile, many of them middle-class, educated professionals like Vadim, and they will tell you that resistance in today's Russia is futile.
That's conditional citizenship. Like, even then, it's like, hey, you want to be here? You got to fucking earn it. Every person that's a fresh off the boat FOB immigrant in this chat has heard identical fucking takes. You've heard it. You've fucking straight up heard it. This is a terrible analogy and you know it. No, it's not. But Georgia being partially occupied by a colonizer, Russia, it's not the same. Yeah, no, I get it. Can't wait for you to cover the next Russo-Georgian war. Motherfucker, you think Russia using that as a pretext is somehow justifiable? Are you fucking stupid? You think Russia would not actually just still use that regardless of whether or not there were Russian refugees that were inside of the fucking Georgian borders? Like, you're making it seem like Russia is going to be like, oh man, well, I guess we have a lot of immigrants in there that ran away from the draft, so I guess we got to fucking invade. Yeah, no shit. If they want to invade, they're going to do that regardless. Georgia has to think about actual existence as a state. Easy to say as a Turk or American. No, go ahead, man. Justify it more. You're right. These are fucking not human beings. So what's your take then? My point is, treat human beings with kindness, empathy, and dignity. They all deserve it. Doesn't matter what state actors decide to fucking justify their actions with. Okay? That's it.
Huge repressive machine. There is an internal riot police, Rosgvardia of like 400,000 people, almost 500,000 people who are trained to suppress protests. And any political organization that was still present in Russia, they got destroyed. Their finance was cut. Their leaders were put in jails. I don't see how anyone in Russia can affect the situation, how they can fight the regime. Regime put like 10 years of repressive legislation to make it not possible. It was like a long game for them.
There's no going back for these new arrivals while this war continues. In Russia, they were willing to live with the war or ignore it until the call for mobilization came. Now they will be reminded of it wherever they go.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So with things.
Wait, what is this? Oh my God, they're doing VR Among Us. Oh no, VR is back. Take issue, I guess Hassan will never be invited. Why are we acting like Toast is the only one who's making lobbies, man? Okay? I got the capacity, bitch. How about that? Make my own goddamn lobbies. I can't wait for the Hassan screaming content in the form of VR Among Us. Has Hassan ever done VR on stream? Oh, man. Oh, brother, you don't know about that at all, do you? Oh, I was a fucking big VR boy.
It's like funding the Ukraine war with Russia. Please explain to people what that means and why we're sending so much money over to Ukraine.
So let's start with that. Let's start with the military-industrial complex. Okay. What is it? Who is it? It is these massive defense corporations who make all these different weapon systems, from the smallest to the most powerful nuclear weapons and missiles. When we are at war, they make a lot of money. When politicians, even if we're not at war, but are...
The person that's speaking across from Joseph Robinette Rogan here quite literally went to do like CIA operations in Africa, okay? I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck what she has to say about Ukraine and Russia. She might have the best fucking takes on here. But if you think that she is in any way, shape, or form an anti-imperialist figure, you are delusional. You are wrong. Okay? She's just a grifter through and through.
Threatening that we may go to war, they make a lot of money. And these decisions are not made within the context.
Can people not change? Yeah, except she's changed for the worse. If you wanted to say Tulsi Gabbard changed, what I'm referencing is literally after people thought she was an anti-imperialist, you fucking idiot. People like Tulsi Gabbard in 2016, okay? Because she was like, I love Bernie Sanders. I'm a big fan of Bernie Sanders. Okay? And at the time, they were like, look, she's a military vet, but like she's anti-imperialist. Like she's so fucking goated. Okay. What happened since then? We're not in 2016. We're not in 2017. Even back then, I was a little weirded out by it. But especially in the lead up to 2020, it was pretty obvious that she was just a fucking grifter in it for herself. Anyone and everyone that goes on the Tucker Carlson broadcast that frequently, okay, that is, playing a pawn's role in becoming a defender of white supremacist values, white nationalism, that sort of thing, without adequately addressing it, is 1,000,000% a grifter. Okay? She hosted Tucker Carlson's show. This is what she's saying now.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness.
Now, this is something that Glenn and Tulsi say all the fucking time. Something that Noam Chomsky, despite all the people's criticisms of Noam, okay, has time and time again addressed. These guys will always say one particular thing, okay? They'll say, it's not a good war, okay? The idea is that there is no war. There's no war but class war. But these guys will always say, well, some wars are good And some wars are, you know, justifiable. But this is not one of them. It's too costly. Okay? Glenn Greenwald has started saying the identical thing about Russia and Ukraine.
Who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism.
Tulsi is as anti-war as they come, and all the facts support that. Yeah, dude. Just don't ask what Tulsi was doing in Africa for the CIA, like literally a couple months ago. Just don't ask that. What was Tulsi doing in Niger? Don't ask him that. Don't do that. She's just so anti-war, dude.
Who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my... You haven't heard much from me lately. I've been gone for the last 4 months, serving on an active duty tour and deployment to Africa as a civil affairs officer. I was supporting a special forces mission to go after Al-Qaeda affiliated jihadists. Now, every single day, it was truly my honor to work with incredible patriots, experienced, focused warriors with an unwavering commitment to serve our country. We should never forget that, you know, no matter the decisions that the politicians...
What? She was doing special forces stuff. I don't understand. She was assisting special forces. What the fuck? What? I don't get it, guys. I mean, this is some anti-war shit. She's anti-war. What? That's so weird. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. Like, what? I didn't know about this, Hasan. I didn't know about this, so it must not have happened. Woo. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff going on. Yeah, she's spreading peace in Africa. She was doing a peace mission. Talking like Boko Haram is good, bro. Yeah, no. That's what she was doing. The same motherfuckers that are like, bro, the Russian propaganda is so strong. It's not, they say it's not a war, but a special operation. Will then turn around and look at this and go, what do you mean? She's just killing Boko Haram guys. I'm sorry. This is why I always bring up America when we're fucking talking about how shitty Russian activity and Russian behavior is, because some of you are completely blind to America's activities. You're so conditioned into thinking like it's all good. Lives are made better or worse as a consequence of those decisions. And that candidate's name is Bernie Sanders. Okay? Everybody who does not realize that Bernie Sanders is a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. We will keep taking scalps. We will keep taking names. We will keep speaking truth to power. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that Tulsi Gabbard did such an incredible thing, dude. It's not... By the way, this is literally like, I have mentioned that she's a fucking grifter way before this. This was the one good thing that she did. So if my own mods are fucking bringing this up as though I'm, yeah, this is when she ripped into Kamala Harris. Not just her, obviously. It's like the campaign being awful. I mean, I think your opinions on this have shifted heavily. You're fucking stupid. You look at the New York Times piece that detailed how terrible the campaign was, that basically put the final nail in the coffin. I really, really hope that Tulsi Gabbard goes after people to judge next, because quite frankly, my man needs his comeuppance. There are so many weaknesses. There's so many chinks in Pete Buttigieg's armor that it should be. I mean, his campaign is stacked like a deck of cards, like a house of cards. Sorry, it's just waiting. It's just waiting for someone to just come in and like blow on it a little bit, or just to pull one of the bottom cards and then watch everything pile on. That's what I'm excited for. I really do hope that Tulsi goes after him next, even though I feel like it will probably be like a kamikaze bomb at that point. If she went after Buttigieg, she would be a wrap too, considering that liberal media would eat her alive and be like, oh, look at the homophobe. Look at the homophobe going after the gay guy. You must hate the gays. And by the way, she might. I don't even know. I mean, but seriously, I don't care. I don't care what her reasons are. She needs to fucking take down Pete Buttigieg, okay? Didn't she call him a coward in the last debate? It's not enough. It's not enough. What about Biden? Don't worry, Biden's gonna die soon anyway. And I was wrong about that. Jack Manifold, thank you for the raid. Oh shit. On. It's the same microphone, I know. Jack Manifold.
Hello.
Jack Manifold.
It's me, guys. I'm in the house. Watching? That's you. You're watching yourself?
I was looking at an old clip that I had talking about Tulsi Gabbard, where this is the one time she actually did something good, and I was praising her.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I don't even bring up that she sucks, by the way, because there have been many times when I've like shit on her a lot, but miscongeniality. Anyway, good. Yeah. Okay. Here, you take the ropes for a second.
I'll
here.
take the ropes. Hello, people. I'm here
Yeah.
with the ropes. Wait, what's the discussion even about? I don't even. I'm so uninformed on this. Okay. Guys, all right. I'm gonna try and be based for a second here. I think new streamer. Welcome everyone. Hi. You know what? Fuck this American politics bullshit. Cost of living, people. It's getting dire. The cost of living crisis is getting bad. My thing is, already, I don't like this setup because my thing is I like to make eye contact with the camera when I talk to it. And I can't figure out, there's like 3 of them and I can't figure out which one I'm actually supposed to be. I could not figure out his own door for a second. I just watched him struggle with his own.
I was deciding on which door to.
What?
Deciding on which door to use. I was deciding on which door to use. You got to speak directly into the microphone.
I got to get really close.
Yeah, get up.
I'm loud though.
Get up close and personal. How much is Hasan charging you? Man, shut the fuck up, chat.
Oh yeah, no, too much. I could have got a B&B in LA for cheaper.
Yeah.
I did it for the exposure though.
Yeah. That's why he's here. That's what I add into my charges. Is that
you got a lot for being here.
Yeah, I add that as a rate. I'm like, yo, do you want exposure? Then you're gonna have to pay more. Anyway, yeah, where the fuck? There's gotta be some shit. Wow, if only he could make it to the give the a power to popping out. What a terrible tweet. What a terrible. Hey, listen. Here's what you're supposed to do when you tweet something as dumb as this. You know, news so delicious. So landlord scum Hasan, man, shut the fuck up. People are gonna take that seriously.
People take everything seriously with you lot, and I find it so funny because you should learn very quickly. I will just lie. I will be lying a lot. I told people that it was a 30-minute walk from my stream to your stream.
I saw. I saw that.
What else did I say? I don't
here.
remember.
Talk about Tulsi here in a debate in 2019.
Can you give me your take on why you like Tulsi? Because I'm very skeptical, and I'm very skeptical from the jump, especially because of the dove versus hawk narrative that she came out of the gate swinging with originally, and the fact that she has always, she always had aligned herself with like kind of militant Republicans even. And then now there's a couple other issues too, like I think it was like the casino bill. But most importantly, given the fact that she made anti-imperialism her centerpiece, doesn't that seem a little inconsistent with what she's done or what she said in the past?
There you go. That's from fucking May 2nd, 2019. So for people who are trying to make it seem like I was pro Tulsi in any meaningful capacity, you're wrong. All the way back then, when I was using a fucking Blue Yeti microphone, I was still shitting on Tulsi. Now, for the record, I've heard you shit on this woman before, yeah. And I not only was I shitting on her, but I would say that it's good that she exists, though. I love Kyle. Didn't know you liked him. Yeah, no, I'm friends with Kyle. Anyway, regardless.
Aloha, good evening, and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'm Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm here in for Tucker.
Dude. Oh, God. It feels so f***ing good. It feels so good to be so f***ing right about Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. That's why. You get the sound domestic political analysis here, okay? I know you're not pro-Tulsi. Kirsten Gillibrand, on the other hand. Okay, shut up. Going to run for the GOP presidential nom? Maybe. Regardless, but even back then, like I said, I've been shitting on Tulsi for a minute. This is the one time where I've said something nice about her, said something positive about her, because she actually ripped into Kamala Harris. That's it. And there were hella people that were cringe Yang gangers and cringe Tulsi fans in the chat at the time. And I had to debate them all the goddamn time. Your guest looks exactly like my dealer? What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Jesse Pinkman.
Anyway, we're listening to Tulsi Gabbard talk about Ukraine and the military-industrial complex, but we can move on to something later if you want.
Probably. I feel like I'd be better off. I feel like I just don't know this lady. I don't know. I'm actually not as clued in on the Russia-Ukraine stuff as I should be as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna avoid talking about it.